Okay,
Oh, okay. You're going to start?
I'm going to start.
Oh, okay.
I'm
Go ahead.
starting. Welcome. Hi, everybody. It's Thursday, 1:00. It's opposite Saxes. How was that?
I said, why did you start the show? You said, no, you go ahead. You do it all the time.
I
said,
faked you
yeah,
out.
I do it all the time. So maybe you do it.
I
this
faked
time.
you out.
Yeah, you faked me out. You did it.
Here we are.
We are very, very glad to have you with us. And each week we kind of sit and say, well, what are we going to talk about? And I was reflecting on
You have been reflecting a lot lately.
well, when you get to be my age,
You're not that old.
It's about all you got left is reflections and memories.
No.
Memories.
No, you're not
like
that
the
old.
Corners of my mind. Huh?
So what are we talking about today, Stuart?
See, that's the other thing when you get
Empty
old, you
nesting.
forget. Oh, yeah. And we started talking about empty nesting. I was reflecting back on the time when our daughter finally graduated from high school and left to leave home and go to college, and our son was already out.
We love our daughter to death. We loved her then, love her now.
Yeah.
But even back then, I remember she left the house with a friend and they were going back to Chicago.
The day after she graduated high school.
The day of. She never went to graduation.
The car was already packed up.
Right. She never went to graduation.
Well, okay.
Because she was in a hurry to get to Chicago.
Yeah. We were living in Florida and she did not really want her future to include Florida.
Which is fine.
She was a cold weather girl as a kid and she wanted to go back, and she did, and she's been back in Chicago ever since and doing extremely well. But she told us that her senior year of high school, when I graduate, I don't want to stay here. I want to go back to the Chicago area. I want to go to college. I want to work. I want to live. I want to play everything back there. We said, okay, fine. Then the day arrived and she did it. And all of a sudden you realized that we had a 4-bedroom house at the time. And now 3 of the bedrooms were empty because our son was gone and his bedroom was empty, and now our daughter's gone, and we ended up taking down her Tom Cruise posters.
No, I don't think we did. Actually, we left it the way it was.
Yeah, like a lot of people do. The kids may move out, but you're going to leave their room just the way it is, just in case they come back.
Well, and we knew she would come back to visit, as she did. But I'll never forget. I tell the story about my mom. She knew about what time our daughter was leaving, and she called me up a little while later. Are you okay? Is everything all right? Are you upset? Are you doing okay?
Are you sad? Yeah, Mom, we're getting ready to go out for dinner.
I said, maybe for 5 minutes I was upset. Maybe.
No, what you were upset about was your daughter had just left and she was driving to Chicago and you wanted her to check in with you like every hour.
Probably what I was more concerned about.
Right.
As far as I think she was ready to go, we were ready. And it's just a rite of passage. It's that time, and you accept it and you go on.
It was time. Yeah.
And so no, it didn't take us long to accept it.
Yeah, when our son went off to college, then it was just our daughter at home. Then 4 years later, when he graduated college, he came back and he was at home with us for a while because he came back to Florida and he was gonna.
It was in between jobs.
He was gonna work in Florida. He decided he wanted to come back to Florida to work, and he started to work, but it took a little while before he got his own apartment.
Right.
And so we were back to the 4 of us, and then he moved out, and about a year and a half later, our daughter graduated and she moved out, and we became empty nesters. And we often would share, time or conversation with other people that became empty nesters. And today we live in an environment where sometimes we have some friends locally that their daughters have each moved out of the house more than once. They moved out, resettled, either moved away and then came back. And before they find their own place, they come back and live with mom and dad. And that's okay too. Usually mom and dad are thrilled.
That's what usually moms and dads are there for the love and support.
Just don't stay too long.
Yeah, yeah. But then there are other people that do. Sons and daughters live with their parents forever and ever, or they come back and they take care of the parents because the parents might be sickly. That's the other thing.
We watch Judge Judy a lot, and every once in a while there will be something that Judge Judy will say, and where do you live? And the guy says, I live at home with my parents. And Judge Judy says, how old are you? And so I'm 47. 47, you're still living at home.
And do you pay rent is the next question.
Of course not. That's why they're still living at home. That's the other thing, is that if you get into that situation where the kids are moving back only because they want to make money and keep all of their money, now you got a little bit of a dilemma. Do you say, well, if you're coming back, then why don't you chip in a little bit for the food and the upkeep of the house?
That's right.
And do you have the ability to say to your children, yeah, you can live with us, but cough up a few bucks for it? Would you ask your kids for money?
Boy, I'd have a hard time. I don't know that I could.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there might come a day that I might need them, or you and I might need them.
That's right.
And you just never know. And
if we ever became sickly and we needed them, we could probably go to our son and he would say, Mom and Dad, you come and live with us, and we'll only charge you a modest rent.
No, he wouldn't charge anything. And that is my greatest fear. I don't want to be a burden on our children.
I would
never, ever, ever.
I don't know. I don't know if I would mind being a burden on my children, because our son lives in a really nice house, and he's got a really nice pool in the backyard and all. And it could be almost like resort living.
Yeah, but he already has he has his mother-in-law living with him. You think he wants another set?
But he's got extra bedrooms.
No, I would not do that to him unless it was
when you retire,
absolutely necessary.
You're trying to retire. Where do you want to retire? You want to retire someplace where it's a nice setting and maybe it's got a pool and what in a retirement center. Hey, if you can live in a nice house with your kids. And
we did when we moved here to Texas. We had a few days overlap where we couldn't get into the house because they were doing some things here in the new house.
Yep.
And so we did stay with them. But it wasn't long. It was probably 3 or 4 days that we stayed there.
Yeah.
But I want to be able to be on our self-sustaining and do our own thing. But you never know. You never know what's going to happen. And if they had the problem, I would want to have my house open to them.
Look, we very often refer to COVID. And during those couple of years of COVID, there were an awful lot of people who they were furloughed from their jobs. They had no source of income. So some of them had to leave their homes or leave their apartments or whatever. And because they didn't know where any income was going to come from. So they ended up going back to mom and dad if they had a mom and dad to go back to.
Yeah.
But that's, just kind of part of life.
Yeah, I guess maybe we were raised differently, and we were raised that you became self-sufficient once you were out of school and you had a job. It was up to you to maintain that lifestyle. And although we have helped our kids in small ways, they've really done it all themselves.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful for that. And I don't want to be beholden to them either. I don't, if I can help it. But there are a lot of people that choose to have their parents come live with them, or vice versa. The parents have the kids, and they all get along great.
Well, there are especially some ethnic groups.
Yes.
For instance, a lot of the Asian culture is that the parents take care of the kids until they get to the point where the kids take care of the parents. There are some Far Eastern, Middle Eastern cultures that also feel the same way, that it's an honor to have your parents
correct
living with you.
The Latins do that.
Yeah, the very, very often. But then the other side of the coin is you wait until your kids are grown and out of the house, and now you're an empty nester, and you say to yourselves, do we want to continue to stay in this big house with all these bedrooms and bathrooms if it's just the two of us? Maybe we can downsize. And a lot of people do. We did.
Yeah.
We did that. We ended up downsizing.
We did.
And probably going to think about downsizing again.
Maybe yes, maybe no. Who knows? Who knows? But it's an interesting. It's interesting being that empty nester, and then you look at each other and you say, now what? Well, now what do we do?
That's right. You know, now I know, I remember one of the first things that you kind of said was, gee, I really don't need to cook as often because I'm not going to cook as much to cook for 2 people. Or when we did cook, you'd still cook for 4.
But I'd put in the freezer.
We needed it, and we'd save it in the refrigerator and have leftovers. But the other side of that story is that you also said, why don't we just go out and go get Italian or something, or, you know, order in Chinese. Because you've
my turn.
Oh, it's your turn.
Last time you did.
Yeah. So it's kind of, you know, I'll give you an idea. I think that there is something else that you can consider when you become an empty nester. And that is, you may want to consider franchising. Getting into the franchise business. You might say, okay, now the kids are gone and everything. I now have that extra bedroom that maybe I'd like to set up a little business. Well, if you've ever given any thought, here's the guy that can help you. If you got any questions, reach out to Irving Chung. He's a good friend of ours. He is a franchisee as himself and all, but he is an expert at franchises, big and small, solo or multi-family get together to open up a franchise. You know, if you've ever given the thought, or you're getting to that retirement age, or the kids move out, and you say, what are we going to do with that back bedroom? Well, maybe set up a little insurance franchise business. So, but
he will lead you in the right direction.
Irving Chung can help you. He's a good guy. Reach out. He'll give you a free consultation too. But anyway, that's what
I think we socialized more.
Socialize.
We didn't feel the need that we had to be around the kids and be with them all the time, and we weren't helping with homework anymore. That was a cinch.
Yeah.
And I think, that's when we really did go out during the week. And if we wanted to go to the mall at 8 o'clock at night, we did.
That's right. If you wanted to stay up until midnight, you could.
We could. If you wanted to run around the house naked, we could do that too. Did we?
I don't remember.
It's been so long, we don't remember.
but it's worth being in an empty nest. I do remember. I'll share this with our audience. It's kind of a personal thing. But when we lived in Florida and we became empty nesters, we had a hot tub in the back patio.
Oh, it was great.
Yeah, and sometimes you'd go skinny dipping in the hot tub.
Well, yeah, it was private back there, and and you could, and we did.
Yeah, that wore off.
No, we moved is what happened.
Yeah.
We moved.
You want to get another hot tub?
I think about it. You didn't think I'd say that, did you?
No, I didn't.
Just means you have to clean it.
Folks, if you know a good place to get a hot tub.
Are you going to clean it?
Sure. I cleaned the last one. I can clean this one.
It'd just be a little nippy in the wintertime going out.
Well, not as nippy as it would be up north. And anyway, a hot tub is a hot tub.
I know, so but you have to go from the door to the hot tub.
Well, that's what they do in Colorado. They're up in the mountains, and there's snow all over the place, and people go jump into the hot tubs.
Yeah, I guess I just got spoiled being in Florida and the heat.
Yeah, well, it was already warm.
Yeah.
So you went from warm to warm to warm.
Right.
But anyhow.
I will discuss.
Yeah, we'll go find a hot tub and discuss it a little bit more, and then we'll come back and let you know what we decided. Okay? We'll see you again next week.
Have a good week, everyone.
1 o'clock next Thursday.
Bye.
Bye.